Normally, I know people are gonna join, but we like to start these things on time-ish. Is it one?
It is 12:59.
Right. So it's good to see everybody. My name is Michael Goldberg. I'm our executive director of the Veale Institute for Entrepreneurship. And welcome back. It's first for the semester. We're kicking off our speaker series. One of the great things about working on a campus is, besides our lovely students, it's also having great partners across campus. So Drew Poppleton and Emily Weaver are here from the Student Affairs Organization. Career Center. I feel like there's always, renaming and rebranding.
Yes.
Drew and Emily, and we'll talk about today specifically the program in which they've been leaders on campus with a partnership with Cleveland State University and the Greater Cleveland Partnership, which is in Cleveland, is basically our Chamber of Commerce. There's been a really wonderful opportunity to provide some external funding and support that has enabled, and you'll hear from the panel in a second, some of these internship possibilities to take place. We're in the tail end. There's some spring internships. There's opportunities for summer as well. And in many ways, and Kara Carter, who, I don't know if she's Kara watching, or should we praise her if she's not? So Kara from GCP, who's a friend, has been involved in this program as well. So it's been a really great partnership, and we've worked with Drew and Emily on a whole bunch of different things. Let me just, before we kick off formally, I know we have some people on Zoom, even for the people in the room. I know we have some people that are more students looking for internships. And then I know at least a couple, perhaps, people are like, hey, we might be the kind of people to employ students. Let me just have a quick round of intros and identify which category you're in. But yeah.
So I'm Devin. So I graduated last semester from Weatherhead, a master's in business analytics. So I joined school in XLab.
Okay. Oh, you're working in XLab. Okay. And are you looking for an internship or?
No, I was like to know more about Greater Cleveland.
Great. Awesome. Great.
Opportunities.
Okay, great. Great to be here. Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a grad student in genetics, and I'm hoping to spin off a company once I'm done, and so more on the employment side.
Okay. So looking for interns. All right. Jarvis.
I'm Jarvis. I'm a fourth year engineering student because I'm double major, so I don't want to stay to engineering. But I'm also in the master degree right now, integrated, and I am currently working on something else, trying to get the legal work done, and I want to understand how the ecosystem goes when it comes to the internship.
So maybe you're hiring.
Maybe.
Some future time. Okay.
I'm pretty selective.
Let's figure out on the network post session networking who we have to hit up for jobs. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Suresh Kumar. I was in the IT industry for around 20 years. I have taken a break to pursue my master's in business analytics.
Okay. Great.
So just finished, graduated last month. I'm looking for opportunities.
Awesome.
In my area.
Great. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
My name is Sally, and I'm doing chemical engineering. I'm still a junior. I'm looking for internships, and I'm also looking more about learning like how the whole entrepreneurship program works, and if I have ideas in the future.
Great. Great to have you here.
Hi, my name is Fausta. I'm a neuroscience student. I'm a junior as well. I'm here, for internships but mostly just because I've heard about Cleveland, the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and some of my friends have been involved in that. So I'm just looking to learn more, just see what's going on out there in Cleveland.
So hi, I'm Yue. So I am from biomedical engineering. So I'm actually graduating, and we plan to start a company after my graduation. So we're currently actively looking for any funding or resources, which can.
Great. Couple for us. Come on in. Yeah. All right. Team Search Owls was doing intros.
I'm Veale, part of Search Owl. We've taken part of the program before, so just coming and listening and supporting.
Jaden, I'm just here to support Colin and Seth.
Just doing quick intros, put you on the spot.
Howdy, I'm Jax. Is there anything else other than that?
Kind of when you were a student.
I'm an alumni, 2022. I have a event staff.
Okay, sorry, and maybe you're looking to take advantage of this program to hire people?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, love it. And then I guess the adults in the room.
Hi, Mindy Veale. I'm at
Adults.
the Veale Institute. I work with a lot of startups and founders so students interested, come see me because those that are not here are still looking for good interns.
I'm Emily Weaver. I'm the International Student Career Specialist at the Career Center, though I do also advise students who are interested in business and engineering, technology, and science. I'm also the manager of the internship partnership program that we do between Cleveland State and Greater Cleveland Partnership. Which you've been involved in.
And I'm Drew Poppleton, Assistant Vice President for Careers and Corporate Engagement. I oversee the Career Center here. And just really quickly, this program that we're talking about, it's called the GCP STEM Micro Internship Program. It started about 3 years ago, again, as a partnership between CSU, us, and GCP. And it's, the goal was to create about 500 internships over 3 years, utilizing funding from the county. And we started out, focusing on sort of small, middle market companies in the area, and then connecting them with K through CSU students for opportunities. And it started out a little slowly, surprisingly, but then startups here caught wind of the program. And it's been such a source of, great talent and opportunity for the program. We kind of have this little niche, operation going. And so we wanted to kind of feature that, here today. And again, for those looking, we still have the summer worth of funding to pursue opportunities. And Michael and I are talking about ways to continue beyond. So yeah, looking forward to the conversation today.
Thanks, everybody. And Britton, for those who don't know you.
I'm Britton. I'm the program manager for LaunchNet. So if you have startup stuff, come see me.
Cool. So thanks to the panel. We always like to have students moderate these events. Evelyn's a heavy user of all things entrepreneurship on our campus, Dylan. So why don't you introduce yourself and moderate away?
Over there.
No, I think
Stay here.
there is good because we want you to be on camera. There. Hey.
So, hi everyone, I'm Evelyn. I'm a fourth year biomedical engineering student. As Michael mentioned, I've been part of a lot of things I feel is good. And I've also participated in this GCP program on the student side, but I'm here to moderate this conversation with our awesome panelists. So as a start, I'd like to ask you all to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where are you from, what you're studying, and what was the first time that you got interested in entrepreneurship? What was your first entrepreneurial gig?
You can say.
Okay.
You're gonna go down.
Okay, so let me try and remember all the questions. I'm Kiana Verdugo. I am a third year BME student and polymer science. And I'm from El Paso, Texas, so the weather is very different over here. And what got me interested in entrepreneurship is actually the person I worked for, which was Franco. He's the CEO of Sleepy. And that he wanted to take charge and actually formulate something with tissue engineering. And kind of he started very young. So I was very inspired by his story of how he was able to bring that up. And also being Hispanic as well with him, we both talked about just wanting to make a difference and also our communities be heard. So
Yeah, so my name's Cullen Comby. I'm a fourth year studying mechanical engineering and business management. And I guess my first entrepreneurial experience was probably this one where we founded SearchOwl sophomore year. So about 2 years ago, we were seeing how ChatGPT was coming really popular, and we were really fascinated with that technology and kind of the new landscape of searching for things that you might be interested in. So we kind of rolled with that idea. It snowballed into a bunch of other avenues, but that's kind of how SearchOwl, now rebranded as Sourcier by SearchOwl, kind of started, and how I contributed over the years.
I'm Seth Omike. I'm a sophomore majoring in computer science. And what got me interested in entrepreneurship is since I've been like a young kid. I used to play a lot of like building games. So I played like Roblox. If any of you know Roblox, I used to play like a lot of Roblox. Dale's a developer for like Roblox games. So yeah, so I had like some experience with building stuff, and from there I learned about coding, which is like an even bigger building like ecosystem kind of. So yeah, so the building.
So thank you so much. And so to start with, I was thinking of approaching this from the founder side. And I was wondering if Colin, you could tell us a little bit more about the story behind your company and how was it to manage starting a company while you're still in college? What were some of the ups and downs and how did that came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Search Owl was founded by just this like new technology that was coming out, and we were really fascinated with searching and its capabilities. And then we bounced around a bunch of ideas of how we could apply this. And we actually landed in the beauty space, like skincare. We were all college students struggling with our own issues. So we saw this connect between the technology and the problem. And if people could really find the products that they're looking for, it would be, solving a problem that would be useful. We found it was really hard to get, products that work for yourself. So it started from the consumer aspect, and there's definitely a lot of other aspects to our company, but it was definitely fun and challenging. It's cool to start something. I really wanted to learn about what it took to like start a business, to do the legal, to raise funds, support the activities that we need to get done. So it was challenging. I'm a mechanical engineer, so there's definitely a lot of work with that. But anytime that we were not in classes, we were trying to meet and talk and bounce ideas with each other, and honestly use the resources we had, like Veale, to push this idea along and keep it developing. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. What did people tell you when you first told them that I'm starting a startup?
You get a lot of like yeses, like, oh, that's really cool, like keep with it. Like no one discourages you that much. They might like say, oh, this idea might be good in this area. So I think there's definitely like a lot of pulls in different directions, and we spent a lot of time just like this, deciphering what everyone was trying to say, not always listening to like the first opinion, but like if there was a general direction, sometimes people are trying to push you, in the right space. So we were like thinking about ads in a certain way, and then we dropped that and moved into different areas. So just kind of using the culmination of ideas and not letting it discourage us, but kind of push us towards what we wanted to build in the end.
Thank you. And I know we don't have anyone from the funding team over here, but I was wondering, Kiana, if you could tell us a little bit more about the funding story behind the company.
Yeah, so I mentioned a bit about how Franco started at 14 of just already being interested in biomaterials. He was also a BME major here, and he graduated recently. And so how he kind of started it was with an idea of a scaffold that would be utilized for diabetic ulcers. And so he kickstarted through there, and he got a lot of funding through here and was able to like start recruiting interns, I believe, when I was a sophomore, so last year. And so he always like had that kind of idea of just wanting to be a business owner and like kind of make his own ideas and take charge and things like that. And I was happy to be a part of it and be asked to be one of his interns, because I really did learn a lot of just what it takes to be like owning a business, but also like working with my own major. So it'd be like a lot of meetings, or, a lot of funding, grants, and writing, things like that. So
awesome. So I guess continuing on that line, could you please tell us a little bit more about how was the process of getting involved with like a student run startup as a student intern?
Yeah, so I actually it was a little more unconventional on how I got my internship. So I'm part of a student org, it's La Alianza, and we held an event which was like a banquet. And so he was one of the people in the audience, and I was like a speaker, and I was talking about, being a first generation student and like the struggles I've had of coming to CASE and like getting used to the culture shock. And so he met with me after and offered me the position. And since we were both in BME, and I talked a lot about what I wanted to do with my career. And so I was very happy that like luckily there was one space left and I was like, I'm just gonna start this micro internship. And then it turned into me being able to apply for the Engage program and then work with NSF over the summer. So that's kind of how I started with mine. It's definitely not like submitting like a resume, things like that. So it was very different, but I did learn a lot in being able to both, because it was a marketing intern, but then also like cultivating the actual scaffolds.
Yep, I see, awesome, thank you so much. And I was wondering if Sad and Colum, you could also tell how the story of you guys getting to a point where you thought, okay, it's time to get interns look like, and how was it to become an intern with the team?
Yeah, so I can kind of start. I definitely hit a technology roadblock pretty early on in the sense that like we knew there was a lot of things that we wanted to get done, but not that much time or like resources. So Dale and I kind of devised this, idea of like, oh, like there's so many CS students here, like why don't we get other people involved? We know that like so many people are eager to get on projects and to work and learn some new skills and practice their skills from like their curriculum in class. So we kind of saw the connect there, and I had to like reach out to one of his CS professors and speak in front of the class and go, hey, if anyone's interested. So that was kind of the start of like the intern program. And then I believe I saw actually one of Emily Weaver's posts on like LinkedIn about the GCP funding, which seemed like a great opportunity because not only could we get students, but we could, reward them and get more people engaged because there's obviously some monetary incentive to work now. So it was like a good fit, and that's, I guess, how we stumbled upon the internship program, and then Seth joined us.
Yeah, so when I was like a freshman spring, that was when I first joined Search Out. And so I saw like their job opportunity on like a flyer in Glennon. So I applied for it, and I met Dale and Jaden in a village, was it? Yeah, in a village dorm. And then basically like I had like the interview with them where it was just like talking about my experience as a CS student, what I've done, my projects and everything. So it went pretty smoothly. It was one of the more chill computer science interviews because no lead code questions were asked. So, pretty nice. And the whole experience was great. And before I knew it, they got me started on the project. I got to it, so yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences around like recruiting and I guess recruitment. I know we have Emily in the room as well. And I was wondering if either of you guys could talk a little bit more about what really like a micro internship is and what are some of the steps you have to take if you want to apply or if you want to like advertise one of these opportunities, because we also heard some other people saying that they might be looking forward to do this.
You might give this more justice than I might.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
I don't know, I can answer from other perspective.
Yes, so micro internships are basically a project-based internship. So it's typically maximum of 80 hours, usually average between 40 and 80. And it allows you to basically really hone in on like one specific task, one specific project, and get that done. They either emerged or became extremely popular during the pandemic because students were losing their internships, companies were in very much uncertain times, and it allowed you to still get that knowledge, practice those skills, contribute to the company in a pretty meaningful way without the huge time commitment of a full-time internship or even a part-time internship doing, 10 to 20 hours a week for an entire semester or two. Now, for our micro internships and then any of the part-time or full-time ones that happen through this program, we also require our students to enroll in our practicum program. And if you're a CS major or if you're any sort of engineering major, you probably also heard of the co-op program. It's a very similar structure where it takes an existing internship, micro, part-time, full-time, and then it adds an academic structure to it. So it requires you to make learning objectives, similar to how a professor would in any of your courses. It's by the end of this experience, I will have learned blank, blank, and blank. And then you have to give us a plan on how you're going to achieve that. You have to give us, resources that you're going to seek out, people that you're going to talk to for help. And then throughout the internship program, there's a couple different checkpoints. If you're doing a micro internship, we usually only do a final assignment. So a reflection paper, updating your resume, doing a self-reflection about, each of those learning objectives that I talked about. For more substantial internships, for those part-time and full-time internships, we do a midterm check-in between the supervisor and your faculty advisor, and then also another self-evaluation focused on those learning objectives. So by the end of that program, not only do you get the internship experience and also the funding, obviously, but then you also have all of these things that you can talk about to employers or to other students or to anybody and say, not only did I do this project, but I learned this very specific skill, I learned this very specific piece of knowledge, and here is how I implemented it, here's how I can implement it further.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask like a follow-up question? The micro internship was one of the main sort of structures of this program. And, it's worked out for us, but I'm curious from the employer standpoint, did that sort of, short-term project-based structure like benefit you? Is that something you might continue, forward even beyond the program?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really strengthened our value proposition for recruiting because now like students want to develop their skills, and in classes it's really hard, especially CS and the like hard sciences, because it's very theoretical. There's limited time for actual practical applications. So now this was like an opportunity where they could get paid. They could, they know they're going to get a learning experience from it. So I think, and then we would, obviously be benefiting from the fact that they can work on some of the projects we might not be able to get to just due to manpower. So I think it, overall just strengthened the value proposition from employer side to intern, and everyone was kind of mutually benefiting from the program.
Kind of following up on that, I'm looking at the people who intern or did these micro programs. I was wondering if you could share a bit more about your project and how the project came about, and what do you think you learned from them and what happened after the project? So I can ask this in multiple steps. That was a very loaded question.
I could start. So it started off with an idea for kind of like a bandage or a wound scaffold for diabetic ulcers, because it is like leading cause for amputations and it has a high morbidity rate. And so that's one of the things that attracted me to doing the micro internship. And so what I learned there was actually making the scaffold. That was a big portion of my internship, was being able to cultivate something with different like acids or like bases and concentrations, and making sure that it's like reliable, and also like doing assays to make sure that it's like not going to break, not going to like fall apart, or that it doesn't degrade super quickly. So that was a very big portion of what I learned, and how to make sure that it's something that you can like present like as a commercial product, because this is something that we would want to take further. So I did a lot of like making batches in my micro internship, and then with the Engage program, I was able to actually start doing like some of the methodology of just like doing like a swelling test, adding nanoparticles, things like that. So that's a big portion of what I was able to do over the summer. And yeah.
Can you please quickly explain what the Engage program is?
Yeah, so it's let me see if I can explain this right. It's where you're able to submit a proposal to, it's kind of like Source. And you submit a proposal for like with your PI and what you want to do. And so what we were exploring was like additives to the scaffold. And we presented this, it was like adding your resume, recommendation, things like that. It's like a regular application for like a research. And so that's how we were able to get it started. And it also came with its own funding, so.
Awesome. So did you do the micro internship during the school year and Engage over the summer?
Yes. Yeah, it was really fun. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was hired for a search out for data science / data engineering. And so when I came in, I had like some experience with data science principles, So like building models and like shipping them, stuff like that. But I found out that like my work was mainly on the data engineering side. So one of the things we were tasked to do was build Lambda functions to go along with our APIs, so the front end could display information to the user. So back then, freshman spring, I actually had like no idea how to do this. So I spent a lot of my time poring over AWS documents, so maybe like 2 hours a day. It's not the most fun part of the job, I'll be honest, but you know, I did learn a lot, especially like a lot of times like in my CS classes, it's very theoretical, but like actually working for the micro intern, I found myself learning a lot of the applications of CS. And so over like the summer I worked for SearchOwl, I was able to like learn how to actually like write out these Lambda functions, test the APIs for the front end, secure them, and make sure we had like a working flow. Yeah, so I learned a lot of cool stuff.
So just to clarify, you also did your micro internship during the school year, and then sorry, and then it turned into a summer thing, or was the micro internship during the summer?
Yeah, so I joined freshman summer, and then I stayed for sophomore fall.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I stayed for
There
around
was
a year.
two
yeah.
consecutive, like, we do like fall, spring and summer recruiting. So there was two consecutive,
Yeah.
like work periods where I think he got the micro grant for both of them.
Oh, awesome. I just wanted to ask about this for both of you because I think it's really cool that you did this one thing that also like spun into this other longer, bigger thing. And I think it really shows the value of the experience and the opportunity. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how did the experience like compare to your expectations or compare to, let's say, other internships you might have had at bigger companies, given that you worked at a startup?
I would say I had no experience going into like the lab itself. I mean, you have your academic labs like bio or chem, but nothing compared to what I was actually going to be contributing. So I would say that it exceeded my expectations. I was like afraid I would just have to be sitting and watching like people do things, but no, I was actually like trusted to, you know, make these scaffolds, watch over them and like perform like assays by myself. And I really appreciated that because it made me more confident in my abilities because I was really nervous of like messing something up or like making $100 mistake or like something like that. And so even when I would make a mistake, they would never like punish you for it. It was always, well, it's a learning curve. Like we are also learning with you. We're learning what we should have in this. We're learning how to like make something. We're also having funding here and here. Like this is all just a learning experience. So also being part of a startup that is beginning and also like growing and you're growing with it was like really fun because you know, you get to meet a bunch of people that are also on this project with you and like learn about why they're doing it and like other majors that they're in. So yeah.
I love how you emphasize the learning experience part.
Yeah, so coming into my micro internship at SearchOwl, I didn't really have much experience outside of that, but I had done like some remote jobs. So I did have some experience, but the thing about these remote jobs is like they more or less play to your skill. They didn't actually teach you like anything beyond that. So I knew what I knew, but I didn't know like anything outside of that, you know? So when I joined SearchOwl, I found myself like outside of my comfort zone, constantly learning like new things like every day. So yeah, it exceeded my expectations because you know, I finally had like a spot where I could learn a lot of like applied CS.
That's wonderful. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about how is it to manage other students while you're also a student and that kind of the other side of that learning.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting from like a student perspective because I'm also a student and like it's interesting setting up that dynamic of like, you know, you guys are interns for us and we really tried as a company to like dissolve any of that really early on and then still like we're on the same team. Like if you're an intern, you're working the same task pretty much as we, but you know, it might not be the same time commitment or whatever, but you're just a part of the team. And I try to emphasize that as much as possible, especially with like the culture of our company is that like, you know, you reach out to us, like we want this to be a learning experience. We don't want like any stigma around like, you know, we're your boss or anything. Like we want to talk to you as if like we're working on a project together. So it was definitely interesting and it's still evolving, you know, getting used to like having to set expectations, like these are things we actually have to get done, but also like, you know, reach out to me as a friend and like we'll talk. So I think just emphasizing communication, showing that we're willing to do the work as well, like right alongside you and just work as we go, help like break down the barriers of, you know, traditional like hierarchy, you know, in jobs, I guess, so.
Thank you so much. I want to quickly look at the audience, see if anyone has any questions. 'Cause I have a bunch left, but I want to make sure that it's like open for Q&A. Yeah.
So I was wondering, you said you're a mechanical engineering and a business management major, and then your company focuses on like the beauty and the skincare area. So I was wondering, how did your background, like you kind of have a multi like faceted perspective, I guess. So I was wondering, how did that help you, or like were there any challenges? And also it sounds like, of course, there's so many aspects to, you know, being a founder and building your own business, but like how did that play into and like going into a bit of a different area maybe than your own major?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm a mechanical engineering major. I have a business management minor. So my minor is a lot of like entrepreneurial sort of classes. But as of, you know, as for going into something that's not my like, you know, strength per se, it was definitely interesting, challenging. I was like technical enough to understand what was going on. I wasn't on like the front lines of coding because, you know, in engineering, we do like more MATLAB and, you know, other stuff that isn't like Python. But my role in all of it was more operations. And I think engineering is very logistical, very operational in the sense that like, you know, these are our tasks, these are our goals, how are we gonna get there? What does the planning look like? So I actually like led a ton of the recruiting. So it was my job to kind of do like the first round interviews, set up the programs, talk to the interns, get them onboarded. So that was part of like the logistical side of our company. So kind of going back to your question, like, yeah, definitely interesting. But I think I'm open to learning new skills. I think everyone should be. Just because your major is this, like, doesn't mean you can't do something else. So I took it as like, oh, this is a cool opportunity. Let's see what I can do and like, you know, make the most of it. So yeah, I kind of found my niche in all of it.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Anyone else? Before we got 10 questions. Okay. I'm gonna try to like look this way as well in the future. So you guys talked about 2 case student-led startups, but I know there's more to it. There's the 7th floor of Inbox that's a little like, I think, I don't even know, secretive, or there's like an aura of mystery around it. I was wondering if you could tell a little bit more about the startup and entrepreneurial community here at Case, and how was the journey of like finding your place in that community?
Yeah, I think it's definitely growing. Entrepreneurship wasn't something I heard too much of like freshman year. But it definitely feels, maybe because I'm more involved in it right now, but also I think it is growing, like especially with Cleaner, you know, hiring so many Case students has been, I think, a really good thing, that our entrepreneurship is not only just starting here, our startups aren't just creating ideas here, but they're also involving the school. And I think a relationship where a startup can feed on the resources of the school is like most beneficial, because for students, like there's a lot of challenges with getting resources and funding, but you know, Case has so many, you know, research labs, or I'm sure this is more applicable to Skeppy, but so I think it definitely is growing. It's good to be around other startups. The 7th floor, like you said, is a little mysterious, like no one knows what goes on up there, but we recently got our office, and it's just good to be around other startups, because I feel like everyone's, you know, doing their ideas and super passionate about what they're trying to create. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say it is really big in like BME, at least, like we're a lot of startups start there, and engineering has a lot of it. But I feel like with the Skeppy, it's very different in kind of like the experience I kind of got from that, where it's you know, it's like fully Hispanic. So I've like was very comfortable to be able to like talk or like be confident in myself. So having like a startup where it's like people that look like me or people who have the same experience as me was very beneficial for me here at Case because it's very like the Hispanic population here is a lot lower than what I'm used to. So I think like having that diversity here at Case was very important and in startup like companies as well, because then like it attracts a lot of people who are interested in joining. And that's how like we had like 7 other interns join us, and how like for when we worked with the NSF like I-Corps, and it was like more of a marketing internship, and like being able to talk to like physicians about their experience and what they look for and things like that. It really opens the doors for how like this company could be beneficial like nationwide, or what, you know, how we can make ours applicable to what is needed. So
I love how you mentioned the power of representation and that how that changed the experience. I don't know if you have anything to say on the topic of like experience and resources and community. You guys we all spent like a summer in Cleveland in this space, I think. And I know like having an internship is a lot about the people you work with, especially if you're in a different city. Or so I would love to hear how it was to let's start off.
Yeah, sure. A lot of my work was remote, so I did spend it like a lot of it like working kind of like in my room, I guess. But I did attend a couple events. Like for example, Searchout was pitching for a competition. I'm not sure the name of it.
Yeah, it was the Morgan Taylor thingy.
The Morgan Taylor, yeah. So I attended that and I got to see like a bunch of different startups, like pretty much like the startup, like the main startups at Case, at least the ones presenting for the competition. And so I got to like really like see what exactly goes on with various startups, their ideas, like how far they've gone along with their idea, and seeing all of that kind of like was a pretty nice experience.
Did you guys come out of this experience with a different mindset about entrepreneurship? Or did it change anything about the way you get startups?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually had a friend who was like working with the judges, Nyasha was his name. And so, when I was there, I was watching it, I was like, this is like pretty amazing. I'd love to like do my own startup. And he pulled me to the side and was like, that's what I've been talking about, So we started like, him and I would like brainstorm ideas. We've been doing so for like the past like year, nothing's quite stuck yet, but we do go back and forth on that. And even with like my friends at my dorm, we also like talk about like various startup ideas and stuff like that. So for sure, it like opened up a new like world for me and my friends. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I was wondering if you could share a bit about what type of help did you get when you had that initial idea phase? Because I know you mentioned there is a support system here, but could you please give some examples?
Yeah, I think just the events and talking to people is like the biggest resource that you can get from everything. So when we came up with our idea, like shortly after we went to a PBL event, I forget what it was exactly. It was a pitch competition, but we weren't involved in it. But we were just talking to people who were in that space, that ecosystem. So it's kind of good to be surrounded by people who are also in entrepreneurship and encouraging ideas. I think they're very open-minded group of people. So those were like, our initial feedback and critiques, and maybe you should look into this or talk to this person. And that's kind of like the whole purpose of the sixth floor and the Veale Institute, is that I think it's really important to just talk to people, see what resources are available, network with other people. And a lot of the help we got was, just you should reach out to this person if you need legal help. We had someone for that, for funding, for marketing. We could run our flyers over, the marketing team. So it was really good to just talk to people and keep, pushing the idea forward with the help of everyone.
Thank you. So could I translate this to saying that if you have an idea, go to sixth floor Veale and knock on their door?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have an idea, I mean, it's worth talking about, and even if it doesn't culminate into anything, like it's fine. It's a good place to just talk to people and see if it's something bigger than you think it is.
Any questions from the audience in the meantime?
Let's go audience questions. Britton, anybody on, go ahead, yeah, anybody on LinkedIn?
I had a question for as a BME major. I was just wondering with the startup, you don't just need an office, but you also need a lab space and equipment. Did you receive any support from CASE or like physical space wise?
Yeah, so the Asclepi lab is actually here at Case. It's in Millis. So it's like a little like room, I guess you could call it. But yeah, so like equipment was a lot of grant writing with like the NSF was where mainly we got a lot of our like money and like our funding from, but definitely like assistance from like the professors that also are at Millis was really, really helpful. Like Dr. Rodrigo was there. And he was super beneficial in like both cultivating our idea, helping us, what like products we need to get or like where can we order stuff and like bulk sizes or anything like that. So we definitely do like utilize CASE all the time. I mean, it's here. So it's really great to have like professors also like chime in and just, be interested in our product and things like that. So I would say, yeah, it was like probably one of the great things about it because it's right there.
Thank you. I have another question. So you mentioned that you're a first-gen student, and then you said that before this internship, like you didn't really have any experience doing stuff like that. So I was just wondering if you could talk a bit more about how was your experience navigating this, because I feel like, as someone coming from a background where you're not super familiar with the system, it's oftentimes very challenging. And so there's a lot of challenges that come from just you not knowing stuff. So I was wondering, how did you navigate that and how was it?
Yeah, so like a little background, like BME is super like competitive. I feel like anyone who's in BME could say that. And so like the most I had was probably like chem lab experience or like bio, like pipetting, things like that. Very like important, but like minuscule like things that you need to know. So I think one thing I had to really learn and like be like okay with was asking questions because imposter syndrome is something that like I deal with a lot and like is super common with first gen students because it feel like you are in a place where there is people who are on your level, smart or whatever, and sometimes you can feel out of place because I'll have conversations with people and they're like, oh yeah, this is like my 4th internship, or oh actually I went like abroad for like 2 summers. I'm like, oh, I did not. Like I don't even know how you did that. Like and so like I felt really like blind to how to like even like look for things. And so when that was probably the most difficult thing to navigate was just like being okay with asking like for help or like questions or like no question was like stupid. Like it was, if I didn't know how to make something, like it's better to say it now and then not make the wrong thing and then, have it cascade into more issues. And I think that was probably the most important thing I had to learn, especially because it was like a very small environment and we were all very comfortable with each other. And what helped a lot was that they were all Hispanic too. So I think that was very like beneficial for me. And it really does like make you feel better, like being first gen where it's like, I do belong here and like I did make a difference and like being at Case is something that you should be proud of. And so it was like felt really nice. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like the supportive environment is really important.
For
and also
sure.
Just being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes, literally. That's how I would describe it because every day I would go to lab and I'd be like, oh, am I gonna mess up a machine? Am I gonna break something? Like they would give me steps and I would memorize them, like repeat them in my head so I wouldn't like mess up. Or like sometimes when I had to do like a degradation or swelling test by myself, I'd be like, you're letting me by myself? Like, my gosh. And so I would like write in my journal like everything I had to do step by step. And then like eventually I didn't need it anymore and I was just able to do that. I was able to give my own input like, oh, I've noticed that this like testing batch works this way, or even talk about like the equipment more, or just like the background or where we wanna go with it. So yeah, I would say like the first few weeks were definitely uncomfortable, because it was like, do I belong in this space? Do I belong in a lab space, or am I just like an imposter, literally, like, and so being able to do that was definitely great.
So now that you've had these experiences and obviously you're still an undergrad and planning out your next step, still figuring that out, where do you want to go? Where are your goals now?
Directed to anyone in particular?
All of you.
I can start. So I am in my sophomore spring year, so ideally I would get like a internship at like a small to big company and actually like continue learning more things. But if that doesn't happen, then what I would most likely do is probably like continue to develop my skills, could take like courses and whatnot, and also brainstorm more ideas, yeah.
Yeah, as for me, Searchowl is continuing to grow, and we have 2 founders that are going full-time on it. I actually have a job lined up, but I'm planning to still be involved in some capacity with Searchowl. So honestly, just keeping everything going, seeing where it takes us, and hopefully it gets big.
Yeah, like you said, just internships for the summer, but also I'm a junior, so grad school applications are right around the corner. And I'm looking to go into like polymer engineering. So I'm definitely looking at my options, see what's there, talking to professors, so hopefully.
All right. Well, thanks panel, and thank you, Evelyn, for doing that. In terms of follow-up and next steps, there are, on the student intern side, there are open opportunities for summer. Are there already listings for placements yet, or it's still in process?
Yeah, well, both. So there are a small handful of listings for summer.
Okay.
There will be more closer to when we formally do the recruiting period for summer, which would be end of April. I'm trying to remember my timeline. But if, you know, if there are opportunities that pop up for spring and, you know, the company wants to come to us and talk about that, or talk about us for summer, we can very much have those conversations.
Yeah, so for companies, there's 2 ways. Like if you identify your own interns already, and some of the startups here had done that, and they say, hey, I've already found my intern, but we want funding. You know, we can process it that way, and you know, there's very minimal sort of paperwork. Or if you're looking for talent, then you can fill out, you know, we'll have a form available, you fill out the form, and then we have students apply, and then we sort of do some matching. This last round, we had, I think, 49 summer micro interns, and we had like 200 plus students apply. So we were able to send each company, you know, about 3 candidates or so per position to consider. And then, you know, we'll kind of finalize matchups. And same thing for the students. Like if you connect directly with a company and, you know, they're not aware of this program, you know, you can reach out to us. Or if you want to be part of that matching process, you can apply, and we'll try to do the best to match, you know, your skills and interests with the company's needs. So.
And just as a note, because we may have folks watching on Zoom and on LinkedIn that aren't in Greater Cleveland, for this particular opportunity, the companies need to be based in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, because
there's a STEM piece to it as well. So
yeah, so it doesn't necessarily need to be you know, a STEM student at a STEM internship. If the company is STEM based, there could be other opportunities. We've had non-STEM students matched, so it would have to, there needs to be some correlation to STEM, but that is, you know, that also includes social sciences, so there's flexibility there.
Well, sorry to the LinkedIn and Zoom watchers, you can have coffee in your homes. We have coffee here and snacks for anybody that's able to stay afterwards and socialize. Our next speaker series is David Sylvan on February 7th, which is a Friday. Evelyn knows David well. David is the head of University Hospital Ventures, as well as the chief marketing officer there. So join us, that'll be up on the 6th floor, and then check our schedule. We've got a pretty active programming schedule. I'll just give 2 quick plugs. The Morgan Thaler Pavey Startup Competition, which a couple of you guys referenced, those applications are open now. That includes 4 different tracks. So these guys were in the venture track, which means you're a formed company. Lauren participated in the research track. Did you win? Second place. Whoa. We have $45,000 of prizes. We have an idea track. So we'd love to see all you lovely people. Hopefully you have an idea that you might want to share. And then for those interested in social impact, we have a social impact track. So that takes place here. It's on April 8th. It's a really fun event. And then lastly, I know, Seth, you said you're a sophomore. So for sophomores, first year students and sophomore students, we have the Veale Snyder Fellowship Program. So Evelyn was in our first class. Definitely check that out. We take 12 students in that fellowship, and it includes a trip out to Silicon Valley and an international trip as well. So those applications are open as well. So with that, love to see those who are here for coffee. Again, thanks to our panel and our moderator, and to Emily and Drew for your partnership. So we'll see you all soon.
You guys.